welcome to another episode.
This is not just another episode. This is the season finale. It feels really dramatic, but it's really exciting, because we have dreamt up having these chats and sharing them with people for years.
It is true, actually. And we've even worked on this specific concept for about a year.
That's
now.
right.
And so it kind of feels nice to have got it all wrapped up. Thank you all for listening so far.
Absolutely. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I'm not wrapping up. I'm going to start
talking about relationships.
We're
not done yet, babe. We've only just sat down.
I feel like we could call this a date with fame.
We could.
It just came off the top of my head.
Whoa.
Did you like that?
A date with fame.
Yeah.
I like it.
Great.
Cool.
Glad that's decided.
Yep.
Now, do you want to go on a date? Yeah. With the fame?
Let's talk about it. What do you think people want to hear? I think if I was listening to this podcast, wanting to gain some advice, I'd want to know, the first thing I'd have in my head is it like the plot of Notting Hill?
Oh, I think that's the dream. That's the dream plot, is Notting Hill. It's quite romantic and fun and funny and lighthearted. Well,
Richard Curtis is pretty...
He is brilliant.
He does that, doesn't he? He does that. He does that. I wonder if he's the reason why people might be interested in dating or being friends with a famous person, because he does make it look wonderful.
He does. But also by showing the pitfalls as well. I felt like it was summed up quite perfectly when Hugh Grant's character finds himself in the interviews, standing as the
I'm always like, I
saw editor of Horse and Hound.
Constantly happening to me. That is so true to life.
But what is it really like?
Well, I mean, I think that it's ultimately the answer is it's like any other relationship.
What is it like to date me?
Yeah. How do you know I'm not the famous one? Just Google it. It's. I think ultimately it becomes like any other relationship. You develop your way with one another. But I think that the beginning stages of the relationship are different to that which you would have with a non-famous person.
And I would say probably can be quite exciting. Like fame can be exciting. The fact that somebody's well known is exciting. For the longest time, being well known meant that you were known for something, which would lead to maybe a talent or having done something spectacular. So
that would be my. So I'm not necessarily interested in your fame per se, but having said that, it opened some doors and we did some fun stuff as a result of that. So I enjoyed myself in a way that I hadn't enjoyed myself before. So it is exciting, like you say, but also it's a precursor to the fact, or it's a post-cursor, in fact, to the fact that you're incredibly talented. And that's what I first saw when I watched you rehearsing at the clothes show. We hadn't met, of course. We didn't meet until during the show. I think we've told this story already. Have we told this story?
I don't know about the rehearsing bit.
No, so, I mean, before this, when I did shows
I flew in from America, didn't I?
Yeah. And
straight from America, straight to rehearsal for Clothes Show Live on stage. And I had 3 hours to learn all of the choreography. So, of course, I went straight into work mode and was just picking up on it with Andy Turner and Gaz Davis.
I should tell this because you're not going to do yourself enough justice, right?
Well, I learned 5, 6, 7, 8. We were good to go.
No, I didn't mean like that. Basically, I always loved to watch. It was my favourite thing to do. I wouldn't take my breaks when the models left the stage. I'd watch the dancers rehearsing because I love it. I love watching dance. I think it's incredible. And
we are pretty amazing.
I think it's pretty incredible how they pick up the choreography so incredibly quickly and how it all gets put together. I'm fascinated by that as someone who can't do it for shit. When you showed up, I did the usual thing, told the lads, come on, we're going to watch this dancing. BB had pre-warned me that you were particularly good.
Love BB.
So I sat and watched you and all of us were absolutely blown away with how incredible it was. But not just that, all the dancers have been working on this for a week because it's that big of a performance. You picked it up in 3 hours. It was unbelievable. Now, at this point, I'm so impressed by you. You have got a slight head start on me. We haven't even met yet, but I'm impressed by you. And I guess I'm impressed by the thing that makes you famous. It's not your fame, but your talent that leads to your fame is impressive and it's exciting for me. And it's a reason why I'm still inspired by you today. So to say no, I wouldn't be interested, or the question we asked today, to say no to that question, I would argue that.
And I guess on the flip side, to a certain extent, being a pussycat doll and being part of an ensemble, we were quite intimidating wherever we went. And I think especially to men, like they didn't really know how to take it. And I guess we all had a bit of a persona within the group as well. So being punk doll, like it comes with its own like tenacity and something that's almost expected of you.
Well, you're a heightened version of yourself, which isn't necessarily true when you're not on stage.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. So, as an individual, I can be especially shy in relationships and dating and all of that sort of thing. So trying to like find somebody you are on a level with and can have a laugh with, I found it really difficult when I was a member of the Pussycat Dolls. And then going from that landing, afterwards leaving the group and being in a place of having to engage in social media and figuring that out and figuring out the dating life, exceptionally difficult because, if anybody goes to date me, they can do a big old Google and have a real understanding of who I am, where I come from and where I'm going. Whereas if I was to do a Google of somebody that doesn't have much of a profile, I'm not going to get any information on them.
Creates a slight imbalance
yes.
in your starting points together.
But I guess when I met you and you were blowing up my DMs,
I think we were in the same shortly after we did Clothes Show together. And to be clear, we didn't really connect at Clothes Show. You had in-ears in, which makes it impossible to chat somebody up. It takes 20 minutes to take the in-ears off, switch it off
story
again.
He does.
Then you say, I just wanted to say hello. She goes, "Oh right, hi." And then winds it back up again, puts the thing back in.
Did I?
Yeah, totally. So rude, guys. These famous people, I mean. But then after the show, I flew immediately out to, I think it might have LA or New York, and you were flying back to LA or New York, and we both tweeted that we were in the airport. And I was like, oh, we're in the same airport at the same time. So we kind of connected then. We didn't see each other because we were in different terminals, unfortunately.
Blowing up my DMs.
Flies first class. Don't see her in the airports, do you? That's the problem with dating famous people.
What was nice in those moments of starting to connect with you in a way was that I was able to do a Google and see a lot of your magazine covers and a lot of the work that you've done as a model, and know that you've worked with some incredible creative directors and fashion people and loads of circumstances that we would be able to connect on or have an understanding of each other.
Yeah, there's immediately common ground. I guess people do it now this was pre-Tinder and all those kind of things. People do that now by just having a profile. So it's not that unusual. So we got to, at least before you started, you got to say, oh, there's going to be some common ground here. We might know some of the same people. We've been to some of the same places, and he's going to get it. You know? I am going to get it.
Especially speaking of Tinder, the day that I'm in the car and I get a phone call from.
We'd been dating a while now, haven't we? It was still new. People were still interested in us. We hadn't really revealed much about the inner workings of our relationship.
Year into it, I think, though.
Yeah, but we were still quite private. Nobody had seen into the home. We were still perhaps interested.
We hadn't let Keith Lemon into our keyhole yet.
Yeah, that's right. It's once they realise you're boring, they leave you alone and you can get on with your lives. We still hadn't been fully assigned as boring at this point.
Well,
this was probably their last effort.
This is the last effort. And I got a phone call. I think it was from the press team I was working with for whatever project at the time. And they were saying that they'd just gotten a call from a certain media, something or other.
The Daily Mail.
Saying that you had a Tinder profile and were out there trying to find some...
ass.
You were trying to tap some ass out there, weren't you, babe?
Yeah.
And I burst out laughing. I think that they were expecting me to, be upset or worry.
Maybe reel from it a little bit and have to maybe go and have a quick conversation. No.
I laughed.
I'm almost offended by your reaction at this point. I'm like, well, hold on a minute. I could have a Tinder profile. What if I am a bit of a player on the side? Maybe you do have to...
You can't say a player on the side of the British accent and we take you seriously. No, that really made me laugh.
True. That's why I didn't
I'm a player. Say it again.
I'm a player on the side.
It's very Hugh Grant, babe.
It's doing incredible. Not that I want to be a player on the side, but this period of conversation is meaning that I never could be, even if I would. My self-confidence is plummeting through the floor as you laugh at the prospect that I might even have a Tinder profile.
No, but you're a very loyal, wonderful guy
Thank
that
you.
loves your creature comforts.
Thank you. We were heading back up the hill. We've run out of steam again, and we're backpedaling down.
But I know there's no way in hell you would ever bother yourself with a Tinder profile.
It is true. I could not be asked for that, and I'm so happy that we were before that. We met before that, and we got our relationship status securely sorted before all that nonsense came along. I sympathise with all of you who have to do that.
But that's the thing. I think the fame game can bring a lot of insecurities out in people that are dating, especially when it comes to the person that might not be as famous with the person that is potentially really famous. You know, Hugh Grant has a big reason to maybe feel insecurities when Julia Roberts is on her press junket, right?
Well, that's it. I mean, you're facing a situation where nobody's interested in you at all, to the point where you might even be backed into the corner of a room because they're so interested, particularly in the work environment, in the famous person. There's a level of adulation and that comes with that the people who are adoring of you aren't interested in your significant others. They're insignificant others to them, and they may have followed you. They may, like some of your fans have followed you and been a part of your life for way longer than I have been. They have a longer relationship, if hopefully less involved than ours has been.
But way more loyal. Their loyalty goes many, many years beyond what you could ever give me.
They don't even. There's not even a sniff of a Tinder profile on any of them. But yeah, that's it. You have to be aware of that and be accepting and allowing of it, and knowing that it's work.
Yeah.
Where some people go.
But I guess it also depends on what sort of fame you bring. Like, I'm quite project based. Like, I love to act or DJ or, do the various projects that I do. But some people do trade more on maybe image or sexy image.
Personal brand.
Yes, there's that thing on Instagram where I kind of can see it sometimes is almost like a red light district, because the more a woman shows, the more provocative she is, definitely the more likes and follows.
Don't drop that in as if it's come off the top of your head. I think you've mentioned it 4 times in this series already.
Really?
Instagram is a red light district. I think it's fair to say Kim's top quote is Instagram is a red light district.
Well, it's great because, like, I want people to feel like they can express themselves however they want to and feel as free as you need to be. But I think that there's also the flip side of the coin, where it's like, I do feel that probably a lot of women, and maybe men too, feel that pressure to do things they wouldn't ordinarily do because they need that fame in order to feel like they're getting the bookings or bringing a bigger profile to the scene.
Here's the thing where it affects relationships. You may have built up a profile and be quite comfortable with your personal brand and the public's response to you, and then you fall in love with somebody, and it may become less relevant and less comfortable. Your partner may not be comfortable with the world sharing in more intimate details of you, whether that be skin or showing your breakfast off on Instagram.
And you do probably present yourself, well, some people probably present themselves maybe a bit differently when they're in singledom as they do when they're in a relationship.
Totally.
Which is okay.
I'd say that's totally normal.
Yeah.
And that adaptation, you then have to take that. It might be more challenging to make that adaptation with your public image, because people come to expect and enjoy the person you are. That's why they're interested.
I mean, I enjoyed a provocative photo shoot in my day, and I probably still will, but there is something different about it, having had 3 kids and being married and everything.
It's nothing to do with me, babe. But the 3 kids I respect. It's understandable that you might think twice about certain characters that you might play because of the kids.
Yeah, but even in saying that, I think about when we chatted about Loaded and the pressure that I felt for that cover, that he wanted me to spread my legs a bit more and be a bit more raunchy. I guess everybody knows their barometer, but only because it's like an inner intuition within you that you have to tap into.
And that therein might be the difficulty. If you are comfortable with where your lines are, with regards to that, and you meet somebody who you're incredibly happy with, but maybe perhaps isn't quite as comfortable with those lines. And we won't mention any names, but we know a situation that's been like that. And it did unfortunately end up destroying the relationship, a really good relationship. But that is the challenge with dating somebody who's famous.
And that's the thing too, though. Two famous people dating each other, it can get complicated. It gets competitive as well if somebody else is shining a bit brighter than the other one, and like I think it can bring out the worst in people.
Yeah, totally. You then start stepping on each other's toes, and maybe you're having a good day, but they're having a bad day. It's very difficult to celebrate success when somebody else is not doing so well in the same world.
Yeah.
I think that would probably be similar for if two accountants got together and one got a promotion and one didn't. I think they are fairly generic terms.
One has the billboards around town and the other doesn't.
Exactly. Like, how do you cope with it, babe?
You know what? I was very upset about the fact that my big dream was to be on a billboard in New York, Times Square. And who got there first?
I've had 4.
Oh.
I don't...
So
first, I mean, I got there first, second, third, and 4th.
You're so famous. Yeah. Oh my god!
And buses in London, which was mine. Several of those as well.
That's okay. We had a video in Times Square. Thank you very much. The React video.
So you're up to level. I think I've had a video as well. To be fair, with the hill figures, but never mind. It's fine.
Tit for tat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My tat's winning, isn't it?
I'm trying to keep my tat in, but you just keep taking it out, and it definitely works for some.
Again, advert clipped, we're done. Thanks, everyone. Good day.
Oh, no.
So we were talking there about famous people and famous things. There is, of course, the thing that we know nothing about.
The contracts?
The contracts.
What
exactly.
Contracts?
Do they exist? Not officially. Definitely not. But yes.
I've heard stories. I'm telling you, I've heard lots of stories. I've heard stories about Tom Cruise.
And I mean, I don't think we're being libelous there. We're just sharing.
Allegedly.
We're sharing stories that other people have said. And you've heard these stories as well.
It's not from the horse's mouth.
It's not, well,
haven't seen that film.
No. I was going to do a Nicole Kidman joke there, but that is not very fair, is it?
No, it's not very fair. But I do hear that, and like Hugh Hefner, they were quite out about his contracts.
Yeah, I think it's quite well known. And then there's others that you hear of, and you don't. The point is, we don't know about Tom Cruise, we don't know about Hugh Hefner, but there's enough smoke to suggest fire.
Yes,
I would say.
And
anybody that you like personally know, or you've never been offered or suggested to maybe go on a date with somebody and see what happens?
I mean, I've gotten caught in a circumstance that was never meant to be what it was. Does that sound enticing?
Really?
It sounds really weird. No, but so I mean, it's how I got in the Pussycat Dolls, actually.
Oh, yeah. No, sorry. I wondered where you were going with this. I was like, really? This is new news for me. But actually, I do know where this story is going. It's a good one, guys.
It was MTV. Yep. Series of The Newlyweds with Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson.
Those of a certain age should remember.
Yes, it was a great show. And part of it was Nick Lachey hiring female dancers for his solo tour.
Yep.
And I went to that audition.
Yep.
Robin Anton is the creator of the Pussycat Dolls. She was a choreographer for that particular moment for Nick. Mm-hmm. And it was after that audition that I got the call asking me to not only be Nick Lachey's dancer and be part of the Newlyweds series for MTV, but to also join the Pussycat Dolls. So I ended up doing both. And so we did all the rehearsals and stuff with Nick. And I always kind of already had an inkling that Jessica had a bit of a problem with, women dancing really sexy around her husband.
That's kind of a weird throwback to what we were just saying. That's the kind of thing that a non-famous person could have a problem with a famous person, but there in itself it's pretty generic. She's probably more famous.
Well, she had just arrived in her fame as well. Like, she'd been fighting for it for quite some time.
She's getting used to it and adapting.
The Newlyweds and MTV and exposure she was getting, and I think probably the right songs at that time, was really, she was starting to feel the fame that she'd always strived for. And so we were out on tour and ended up sort of being in the same place at the same time because both of our planes were grounded before they made it to their destinations. We were stuck in the same hotel together. And the next day, we sort of buddied up to get to where we needed to go, and walking through the airports together.
We should plot this back, because at the moment it sounds like we haven't done enough detail. Like at the
What
moment,
detail do you want?
this sounds all too convenient, babe, and I'm starting to be on Jessica's side.
No.
You were working together as an ensemble group. He was the artist. You were the dancer with a lot of other dancers as well.
Yes, 3 other dancers.
They were. You can watch all this on
Great
the Newlyweds.
dancers.
It's all there. Series whatever, I don't know. But weirdly enough, I'd seen about 2 of these episodes, and when we got together, that is one of the episodes I'd seen. So I was like, no way was that you.
They
were that
zoom
girl.
in on a girl's bum as she walks by, and Jessica
your
watches
bum.
her head go, and that was my bum.
Yeah, and I
that's
remember
my claim
thinking,
to
nice
fame.
ass. One of these days. And then, so you then are everybody flies home separately to their various destinations.
Sure.
You happen to be both going back to probably LA.
I can't remember we were headed to the gig.
Oh,
I
you
feel
headed
like
to
it was
the
in
gig.
Detroit or something.
Okay, so you're on the same plane?
No, different planes.
Okay, different planes. They both get grounded.
Grounded for weather.
Yes. Which can happen. You then
Yes.
both find yourself in the same airport. Everybody else somewhere else.
Same hotel.
Conveniently somewhere else at this point.
I don't remember why the other girls weren't there.
They didn't get grounded for weather. They flew around it.
I don't know why.
You then leave the hotel. You leave the airport. You've got to go and stay in a hotel for the night. You arrive at check-in, and it's just you two.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, we're on the same job. We're on the same. All this seems rather innocent. Like if you're working with somebody, you're stuck in the middle of nowhere.
But the Paps
you're both
didn't
in the
want
same
it to be
problem.
innocent,
So
and
the
they were
Paps were there.
hammering us.
Babe, a lot of this sounds like it was set up. I have to tell
Really?
you. I feel like you may have been like.
I guess I had long blonde hair and big dark sunglasses, and maybe they were mistaking me for Jessica. I think that was part of it. But it got to the point where they were following the 2 of us, and I guess we were alone in an airport together, and made quite the story of it. To the point that I went home, was back in LA, and had quite a night out. I think I'd had quite a few drinks. I was feeling a bit worse for wear. I was still in bed when I got banging at my door. And I run to open it. And I remembered as I opened it, because it was quite abrupt, I had like a bobby pin that came, like a hairpin that came down, was just dangling in my hair.
Somebody must have this picture.
Oh my God.
Please.
And there was the Pap, like flashing pictures and trying to get
your
this
Cherie
story.
Blair moment. Do you know what the Cherie Blair moment is?
No, I have no
so the
idea.
day after Tony Blair won the Prime Minister thing, they knocked on the door and she answered.
Yeah.
And she was in her dressing gown, thinking, it might be the
bless
postman
her.
or something. But
That's
bless her, he's just won
it.
he won the yesterday. Don't answer the door the next day. Which is advice you could have taken.
Maybe, but I didn't see it coming. That's the thing. And so, I was attacked, and they were trying to make it out like him and I were together, and really, I think just playing into the story of making Jessica Simpson really jealous.
And I think they're making a TV show, and the conflict was that Jessica's going to be jealous of one of the dancers.
Yeah.
So all this kind of helped and sounded like it was probably. Did you read the script? Because that might all have been in the script.
Maybe.
It sounds incredibly well scripted.
Yeah.
But that can happen. Not necessarily a contract, but a situation, a manufactured
situation can land in a way that it affects you. Because I think later, I remember winning one of our VMAs, Best Dancing in a Video, or Best Dance Video, and came out. And I was sort of first in line to go up to Jessica to get it. And she just kind of turned. And I was like, okay, she's not going to give it to me. That's fine.
What are the chances of you winning Best Dancer in a Video and the person giving the award out is Jessica Simpson?
I know.
What are the chances? Almost seems pre-planned again, to be honest.
Maybe I'm all part of a bigger plot that I had no idea I was a part of.
Maybe. What's our role in this situation?
I don't know.
We'll find out.
Brings out my country accent, though. Can't believe it. It's unbelievable.
But after a while, once they found out that you're boring, and that you're not interested,
speak for yourself,
and that you have to come out, and you're literally starting to make podcasts so people will actually listen to anything you've got to say anymore. You do develop we have a slight work mode, right?
Sure.
Like when we're public facing and when we're doing interviews, you sort of snap into this sort of slightly heightened versions of ourselves, and that's kind of shared. Like if you weren't there, I'd probably be a heightened version of a different version of myself, and likewise that. But when we're together, we kind of we click into our chemistry.
Well, that's the funny thing about fame that's different than even going to like an event is you're going to feel famous. You put on your makeup and you do your hair and you get the right outfit and you go out there to feel as famous as you can.
Like New Year's Eve, you go out to have a good time. You go out to sort of
I don't go to my friend's birthday party to go and feel really famous and feel that notoriety that you go out when you're going to work to do what it is that you do. And part of it is
tapping into
putting on that face.
Persona.
Yeah, absolutely. And putting on a show, entertaining people.
And after a while, we now have kind of a shared persona that we're putting on a podcast.
But am I the downtrodden housewife?
Yeah, totally. Doesn't it sound like that? 100% sounds like that.
And you're the Tinder swindler?
You had to Google me to check whether or not I was worthy. That's what I'm taking from this episode.
Oh, no.
And
it was the chat, really.
It was the chat, was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And the way that you put your arm around me when we left.
Yeah, none of this was at Clothes Show when you had in-ears on.
No.
But then I
wasn't bothered. I mean, I'd always given myself the rule of, like, do not date a model.
Yeah.
Sorry, but made me feel good. There has been many male models that I have met in the past, mostly LA, I will say, where you go to just have a conversation because you end up at the same party or thing with them. And there just wasn't a whole lot of bants.
That is
I know it's really stereotypical
generalization there.
I know.
That's like me saying, famous people are all up themselves.
But look, but it's the biggest compliment to you because you broke the bubble of the like don't date models thing that I had in my head.
Lads around the world, you are welcome.
But yeah, I do feel like it can be very difficult as a somewhat famous person to
and seemingly a model.
Make good choices and feel comfortable and feel safe in this crazy world of dating. I'm so happy to be married because the whole dating thing and relationships is so difficult anyway, let alone adding the fame game on top of that.
I think it's more difficult than ever it was either. Because at least we had a choice and although it was challenging sometimes coming out of clubs and restaurants and things, to remain secret so that we can figure it out together, we can get to know each other. And, like from fairly early on, we kind of felt good about this. But at the same time, you don't want to, splash your love all over the world and then... And it doesn't,
like, how hard will it be to be
up?
A famous person and be like, so what app did you meet on? Like, the thought of going on an app to date somebody, especially being in the public eye... I can't imagine.
You're sounding incredibly old there and probably alienating a lot of our audience.
Well, I'm not trying to alienate. I am giving a lot of love out there to everybody that is going through it because I just can't imagine how difficult it must be.
Yes, we're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's stay married just so we don't have to do the whole app thing.
That's why we're staying married, babe.
Yes.
That's up there above pregnancy at the moment.
That's what we'll say when we renew our vows.
That's number one, reasons to stay married. Number one, avoid apps. Number two, she's pregnant again.
Oh, no.
Number three, this house costs a fortune. Yeah, all this great stuff. Really great stuff. I think somewhere down there is attraction and love.
Right.
Number 7 or 8, I think.
Well, once the kids are a bit older, we'll tap back into that, won't we?
Yeah, okay. Right,
but I think like the difference between who we are and our persona outside, when we're out in the world, compared to who we are inside in our little Surrey bubble and in our home, like we are very different people.
Yeah, it's like work mode, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like going to the office party. There's private and there's public. I don't think we're necessarily as different as some people are.
No.
Like take sort of like Lee, for example, Lee Francis. Yeah. When he's on stage, he's nothing like he is at home. And even halfway between, when we bump into him at parties and events and things, he's great fun. But I would imagine if you then went back to his house, he'd be so polar opposite to who he was on stage. And some people do it that way to kind of protect themselves. They create a character. We're not like full characters, are we? We just have a bit of a work mode where you bring your...
But I guess that's the thing, like being, my whole life as a kid was being a dancer. And that was all about being in my leotard and tights or tracksuits and sweatpants or whatever it was to get to rehearsal space. And it's just all about the work that you were doing in that rehearsal space. It was not about how you looked or the pictures you were taking or any of that stuff. And that was all leading you up to that moment where you're in costume and hair and makeup and on stage putting on a performance. So I guess ultimately my fame for me has always been about doing all the work to get ready for that moment you're putting on a performance.
To prepare for the fame.
That's it, to prepare for the fame.
Prepare for the famous moment.
Yeah.
But you're good like that. I think that's a really good way. It's a really good take home for anybody listening. That you have your fame has a platform.
Yes.
And when you're not on that platform, yes, you could be preparing for the platform, but ultimately there's a different side of you, a side that's just sort of running.
So people in my normal life that are looking for the famous me are really let down, probably.
Yeah, but that happens. 100% happens. I remember one person one time, I can't remember where it was we were, but she was very excited to meet you. I think she might have been a wife of a friend of mine, maybe that I went to school with or something. She was very excited to meet you. Couldn't wait to ask you what you were doing next. And your answer was, I'm just teaching my dance classes at the moment. She literally almost turned on her heels and walked away. She was so disappointed.
Yeah.
Because you were this mythical, famous creature. You were just teaching dance, or just teaching dance. It's one of the coolest things you do. But like,
thanks.
Kimberly White Dance Academy opening now.
Taking registries. KWDance.com.
Brilliant. They say you can't advertise on these things. Probably a lot of our friendship groups away from fame now are based on similar circumstances. A lot like other people would. If you work in finance, you'd probably have a lot of friends through finance because that's who you meet.
Parent friends.
We have a lot of parent friends who are also famous. Like Abby and Pete, we live near them and we worked together, but we know them because we have kids of the same age, and it all works. A Sunday lunch is as chaotic for us as it is for them, and there's lots of people like that. So you end up gravitating towards people who are similar to you in both fame and.
But that's what's been so great about parenting and school runs is it's such a leveler.
Yeah.
Like everybody is in it together.
Doesn't matter what you do, who you are, we're all scrambling to get to that gate in time.
So if anything, it's been a reintroduction to just, I hate to say normal friendships because everybody's normal, but like
non-famous friendships.
Yeah, the friendships outside of limelight.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It can be done.
Yeah.
We have lots of really amazing, incredible, interesting,
but
cool
the thing
friends.
is, you have something that you bond upon.
But the understanding of playing the fame game and keeping that schedule so that you can do what it is that you love within entertainment means that you have no idea what's going on tomorrow, let alone a week from now. And I think
that can be difficult.
That is maybe one of the most difficult things.
Yeah, we've got a lot of friends who we know and we bond over the fact that we all have young kids, and they'll say to us, on the 17th of December, we're going to do a big dinner. You guys, I thought we'd ask you early so that you guys would be able to block it off. It's like, we won't be able to block it off until about 3 hours before.
Which is horrible.
And it's horrible, and people will never understand what that is. And there's people try different techniques. They'll ask you late, they'll ask you early, they'll tell you to book the babysitter in time. It just makes no difference.
You just don't ultimately get to choose your own schedule. You just have to fly by the seat of your pants at times, except for things like the Fame Game podcast, because we get to book this in and around sort of our lives and what we do, which is amazing. But that never happens.
That's why we're doing it. It's work that we can do without feeling riddled with anxiety about whether or not we'll have to cancel something.
That's it. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest difference between scheduling is a nightmare.
It's going to be your biggest challenge.
I get anxiety when they're like, so what are your children's school clubs, or I don't know, like just little details where they're so on it because that's their entire life, and I'm like, I'm on it, but it's just deep down in my schedule. And if you'll just give me a second to go find my book so I can figure out what I'm finishing up today, so I can figure out what tomorrow is, then I'll get back to you. And that is a conversation ender. Should we take some questions?
Yeah. Well, what have we got? Yeah, let's do some questions. The question this week.
Would you date or be friends with someone based on level of fame? What's your answer?
Do you know what? I think the overwhelming response is people saying no. Mm-hmm. And I get why people have done that because it's the politically correct thing to do. But I think it's okay to date somebody based on the level of, again, it's not necessarily their level of fame that matters, but if there's something like your talent that has driven you to be that famous, I'm inspired and I'm attracted to your talent.
Well, that's where, then he's a mate, Del Mack, and he's an incredible dancer, choreographer, performer, creative director. Did a lot of whacking with him. Yep. That's so intense style. Wow. And he says, of course, get to know them behind closed doors. And there's a barrage of no way. Yeah. It's all about connection and heart and whatnot, which I agree with all of you. But I thought this was an interesting perspective because he's coming from a place where he does work with a lot of famous people. And so he's saying yes, because, it could be based on their fame, but you still get to know them behind the closed doors of a rehearsal studio.
They might turn out to be a dick anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think a lot of the no's I've got, no, you need that connection, trust and love from N.J. Balkman. No, intelligence, talent, passion, kindness are far more important to me, from John Constantine. No, for me, it's about personality. It's not about what you have or whatever, from Joe Bajo, 72. I actually read all those as, so what you're saying, we don't have passion, kindness, or you don't. My wife is passionate, kind, and talented. We do have a connection, and it is about personality. Fame doesn't stop you doing those things, but I recognise people might have just said no to be politically correct.
So here's a good one based on that. So Steve says, nope, it's all about the person they are, not the status they hold. And I think status and fame is a funny little one, isn't it? So
that is a better way to answer. And I'm sure that's what everybody meant, that fame is incidental. Mm-hmm. But it's not a straight no. Or on the other hand, Matt Evers, Dancing on Ice, just wrote 10,000% I would.
It's the same with like Del Mac. It's a similar perspective.
Yeah, it is. It's...
Oh, he's best friends with GC, isn't he?
Yeah, of course. So yeah,
with the GC.
Yeah, the GC. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love Matt.
Yeah.
Now, Batty Summers. This is what.
Try again.
Batty Summers.
Batty Summers.
This is Batty Summers. Says, friends, no. Neither for dating. I'd rather date and sleep with a rich man. I don't give an F about fame.
Brilliant. Started off so well.
At least Batty is very honest.
Batty, go for it. If that's what you want, that's what you're interested in, if that's what turns you on, go for it.
Well, this is the thing about relationships. What attracts you is different to everybody. Everybody's on a different spectrum. Some girls, some guys are attracted to money.
Well, it might not necessarily be money, but the safety, security,
what comes
lifestyle
with it,
that you come with it can be so enjoyable and fulfilling for you that's the reason why you chose somebody. And maybe looks and sort of connection, which they may have those connections and after a while, but maybe it's less important. Maybe that's secondary.
Yeah,
that's fine.
And then I like this sort of Mike says, no, I find most modern day celebs to be shallow, vain, and full of self-importance.
Brilliant. I'd like to...
Just a blanket statement for everybody.
Mike, what if you met one that wasn't those things, that you were really attracted to? Would you and made you laugh, and it was a proper connection? You went, listen, I've just Googled you. You are a little bit famous, so now I'm going to cast you as blanket and shallow.
But I will say this is maybe the fault of where we're at as a society. I think that a lot of people that are in the public eye, that are known for being super famous, do have a lot of these, shallow, vain, full of self-importance. That's what gets them written about. That's what gives them the trolls, to give them the hype enough to be in a place of being as famous as they are.
That might not even be who they are behind closed doors. It might not be.
But that's why I feel like there's a thing towards fame that has this blanket statement of feeling like there's a huge part of narcissism. And
that's why I think we got a lot of immediate no's on this one.
Yeah.
Whereas it's a little bit more thought. These people are people. It doesn't matter what you do. And it is okay to say yes. I mean, look at James Corden. He picks all his friends based on their level of fame.
Yeah.
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 Digging out James
Can't
Corden
say that.
again.
Can't say that.
He started it. Started it last week.
Oh my god, I have one feeling towards James Corden. I've put it down.
Yeah,
you're keeping it going.
I'm not letting it go.
You're picking a fight.
You mess with my girl. I am gonna.
Well, I'm
gonna subtly, gently, and very quickly dig you out in a podcast bi-weekly for the next maybe however long this lasts, and that'll teach you.
That'll teach you,
Corden, with all your fame and success and money and happiness.
Well, shall we go to headlines then? See where that lands us?
I think I might have overcooked it.
I think you've trolled. You're borderline troll now.
I think I'm going to climb down and say my apologies now.
You're a troll sympathizer.
I am. I'm
sorry.
Like
that's a whole new thing.
Sorry, James. I was only joking. What have we learned across the entire range of this wonderful meandering series?
I think that for me, it's like everybody is different, and how you handle fame and how you conduct yourself and what might bug you is going to be different than somebody else. And being able to tune in to who you are and what you want and what is going to make you feel good is like the most important thing.
I would extend that one step further and advise most people that once you get to that point, the thing that you should be tuning into is the thing that makes your heart sing in terms of talent and what you can do with yourself. Focus on that, and if fame it follows or not, it won't matter, because the talent is what you should ultimately be pursuing. And then if fame follows, take it as a nice barometer of success. And if it doesn't, know that you're doing the thing that you would love to have been doing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Carrey says you can fail doing the thing you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So you might as well fail doing the thing you do want to do.
And the other one that you sometimes say about turning your back on the audience.
That's another good one, isn't it?
For creatives,
so Ricky Gervais, I heard that from Ricky Gervais, but other people have said it before. In order to conduct the orchestra, you have to turn your back on the audience.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good way to view fame.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is about you and what your offering is. And the audience is should not necessarily be involved in that. So don't worry about the fame, worry about the product or the offering that you're giving.
And check yourself before you wreck yourself.
That's another great... I can't remember who said it first. But I know that you've said it now.
But the whole, they're embarrassing themselves. That's based on your perceived experiences. So you do have to sort of check yourself and what... Right? Why do I want to say wrecks yourself?
I think it was it Zach Galifianakis said that on Hangover first?
Yes.
I think that was... Yeah.
These are words to live by.
Or was it Shakespeare?
But I think, ultimately, you don't sweat the small stuff. And if you feel like the sweat is starting, then move to the next.
Don't believe the hype. Don't sweat the small stuff. Shit happens.
These are all your favorites, aren't they?
Loads of
you
stuff
love an Instagram quote.
Just stick on a bumper
stickers.
Yeah.
Fame Game bumper stickers coming at you on sale soon.
Yeah. Stuff you've heard before, but we've just said again.
Yeah. Re-wrapped up.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, nothing's original these days anymore, is it? So...
cornflakes.
What do you mean original?
The original and best.
I
thought we were doing slogans.
Oh dear, how are we gonna wrap this one up? It's the final. It's a final countdown.
That'll do. See you next time when we're going to bring guests on because we've run out of stuff to say.
Oh, but I've loved it. It's been great, hasn't it? Thanks to everybody for listening.
Hopefully you have a broad scope of our appreciation and understanding of fame. Hopefully you've decided on how you're going to approach fame if indeed you have decided to become famous. That'll do. What a way to finish. Told you it should have been called that.
Oh dear. Always wants the last word here on the Fame Game, guys.
Bye.